Now that our endpoints are defined, we are almost ready for the implementation. First, we will need to define our queries controller and our transaction factory. In order to do that and define and initialize the query controller, we need to copy the contract's ABI. We already have an ABI that we've obtained by building the escrow smart contract. We will copy that, and we will create a new folder in our source folder. We will call it Contracts. And we will create a new file. We'll call that escrowabi. We will paste the contents of the ABI in this file. Next, we need to edit our tsconfig in order to resolve JSON module. This will allow us to import the JSON file in our offers service. Now, we can go back to our offers service and start defining the queries controller. So we will define two new private properties of the offers service class. This will be read only. Queries controller, and it will be of type smart contract queries controller. And also, we will define our transaction factory. It will be of type smart contract transaction factory. Now that we have defined the two variables, we will initialize them in the constructor. We will inject our escrow service config. We will call it escrow config service, and it will be an escrow config. Then we will define the API network provider. We will initialize a new API network provider. The first parameter that this function accepts, it's the escrow config service URL. The API URL. So we will call the getAPI_URL function of our config service. And then we will pass the client name as optional config. We will call that escrow tutorial service. We will create a new ABI registry using the ABI registry helper. Now we need to import our ABI, our escrow ABI, so we'll do that. From contracts, escrow ABI, and we'll pass that to the create function. We will define the query runner. It's a new query runner adapter. It will accept the network provider that we have just defined above. And then we will initialize our query controller that we will use in our endpoints. It will accept a query runner, the one that we have defined above, and an ABI, which is the ABI registry that we defined above. Then we can define our transaction factory by defining a factory config. This will accept a minimum of chain ID. We will get this chain ID from our escrow config service. There is a small typo here. Okay, then initialize our transaction factory. And of course, we will pass the config, which we have defined above, factory config, and the ABI, which is the ABI registry defined above. Now, we are ready to interact with our smart contract and implement our ABI registry. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you did, please subscribe to our channel.